Dani Love stared at me, her hair dusted with flour, those glorious curls bouncing around her shoulders as she shook her head. After a beat, her green eyes narrowed. Even with flour dust in her cheeks, the pink showed through. Her tongue swiped across her bottom lip. That was overdue, I finally said. Dani's breath came out in a huff. Then she put her hand on her hip and glared at me. No, it was not. Before you start screaming at me, I've got to go, I said flatly. Dani blew out a puff of air, sending an errant curl out of her eyes. Good, she said. Please go. For a moment, a retort was threatening to fly out, but I held back. Dani turned away, looking at the glimmer of sunrise beyond the pantry doorway through the window in the back of the kitchen. Her jaw was set, the lines of tension on her face so familiar. I didn't know how, but I knew she was hurting. Dani, I began. Her gaze slid back to mine, her green eyes flashing. Just go, Wade. I know the group scheduled for the hike is waiting for you because that's why I'm here so early. They already had a quick buffet breakfast. I wanted to kiss her again. This woman who was covered in flour, this woman who I'd loved since she was a girl. Well, I couldn't say I loved her now. I wasn't too sure. I had, once upon a time. She had dumped me and life went on. I moved away and came back. For the last few years, we'd been in this seemingly endless cycle of sniping at each other. Leaning over, she picked up the elastic that had fallen to the floor. Have a good hike, she said. I need to get cleaned up. With that, she brushed past me, a little zing of electricity streaking up my arm where her elbow grazed against my forearm. Turning, I watched her hurry down the hall to the bathroom, her generous hips swaying with each quick step. I took a breath as the door closed behind her and let it out slowly. With a mental shake, I turned and headed to the front of the restaurant where I would meet the group for the hike.